New York Giants fans, it's been a rough one, but let me be the first to wish you all a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, a Happy Holidays for anyone that does not celebrate Christmas, but celebrates something around this time. I thought I'd come to you before the big day in order to just kind of let you know that there are a lot of things being said out there, and a lot of them are just untruths or unfounded. There's a lot of giant fallacies out there, and I'm going to talk about them. I'm Coach Gene Clemens, and I have a giant issue.
3, 2, 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of A Giant Issue. I am Coach Gene Clemens, New York Giants on SI. That's where you get all of your New York Giants news and information from. Make sure you go over there and check them out. Make sure that you are following right here on the New York Giants on SI YouTube page. Almost up to 2,000. We are close. Maybe, for Christmas, you guys find us another 100 subscribers so we can get to 2,000 for Christmas. How about that? It's a Christmas miracle, right? Also, make sure that you follow me anywhere that you follow anyone on social media at Gene Clemens. That is on X, on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, YouTube, Coach Gene Clemens, and on TikTok or wherever else. You can check me at Blue Sky at Gene Clemens or at Coach Gene Clemens. Definitely hit me all the places. There's been a lot of things being said about what people believe is going to happen based off of these last few weeks. First off, I just like to say, I said that you would have a decision to make, right? Last year, I was adamant. You're not out here trying to lose games. It makes no sense to be in the market for losing on purpose. It doesn't make you any better. It's a bad sign. Once I saw everything in the writing on the wall, once they got rid of Daniel Jones, I said, hey, they just got rid of the quarterback that gave them the best chance to win. And with that, people were like, oh, you're crazy. Daniel Jones has been bad. The offense looked better last year when Tommy DeVito was in there. All this other crazy stuff. And my point was, I'm not saying that Daniel Jones was good. I'm just saying that he was the best on this roster. That has played out, ladies and gentlemen. However, I don't believe Daniel Jones would have been willing to tank the season because Daniel Jones is trying to play for his starting career, right? He wants an opportunity to go somewhere else and have a chance to start, or at least work his way back to a starting spot, very similar to what Baker Mayfield has done, what we're seeing in Minnesota with Sam Darnold. Don't know if that has any carryover effect into next year, but we see it, right? So this idea that, Daniel Jones being gone wasn't beneficial for the Giants. Clearly it was. And because of that, the tank was in. And I said, hey, listen, you can't be out here wanting the team to lose on one hand, and then in the other hand going, well, this team stinks. That doesn't make any sense. I'm going to say it again because I think sometimes maybe I say things and people gloss over it. You can't be out here wanting the team to lose and then turn around when they do what you want them to do, go, this team stinks. And that is exactly what New York Giants fans and more disappointing, what New York Giants media and content people are doing. They're constantly pointing out the fact that the team is bad without pointing out the fact that the team is trying to be bad. They're saying things like, oh, yeah, no, I'm not buying that they're tanking. They're just bad. Really? You're not buying that they're tanking. You're telling me that Bobby Okereke, whatever his injury was, if they had 10 wins right now, that Okereke would be like still on the injured reserve. That Dexter Lawrence would be done for the season. That all of the defensive backs that have missed all this time would have missed that same amount of time. That all of these different machinations that we've had in the offensive line would still happen. That we would be playing flip-flop with the quarterbacks if we were 10 wins in. You really you want me to believe that if the Giants had 10, 11 wins, that all of the same stuff that's going on right now would be going on? No, it wouldn't. The reason that it's going on is because this team is trying to lose while remaining competitive. That doesn't work. Hey, let's put our tinfoil hats on for a second, right? Let's put the tinfoil hats on. Drew Lock played against New Orleans, a New Orleans team that we've seen is one of the worst in the NFL right now. People are trying to say the Giants are the worst team in the NFL, and I just totally disagree. There's so much worse teams. But I digress. They played against New Orleans, and Drew Lock could not complete a pass. It wasn't until New Orleans was already up by double digits that Drew Lock settled in and started to delivering passes. So then this past game, Drew Lock came out dealing, came out throwing the ball well. The Giants put drive together, scored well early. And then all of a sudden, Drew Lock imploded. Doesn't seem weird that he goes from one drive looking like, oh my gosh, yeah, he's a competent NFL quarterback who can just run the ship well, to, oh my God, you got to get him off the field. Like that big of a distance between one thing and another. You're telling me that there's nobody going, well, that doesn't make sense. And again, I said this several weeks ago. This is what the money's for. This is why Drew Lock is here, to help complete the mission. The mission is the number one pick, right? So that's what's going on. This team is trying to lose, but trying to look serviceable while trying to lose, which is impossible, which is why it feels like a joke. It's why it feels so awful. But that's what you have to do when you're trying to tank. It has to be awful. There's no other way around it. I've never seen a team that's tanking look good. Sorry. It's just not how it works. And so it's brought up all of these narratives. Everybody's got like a narrative or a point of view that they want to say, and it's based off of what they're passing off as facts, but it's really just like untruths or things that might have a lacing of a fact in it, but it's mostly false, right? This is what fallacies are built off of, right? So I just wanted to go through some of them because I thought it was interesting. This is Ryan Dunleavy, who does a fair amount of posting. At the time when this was posted on December 22nd, it had 80.5 thousand views on it. And it says, you know who might come out of this Giants disastrous last 2 months looking better? Daniel Jones. He kept the offense watchable. Clearly, that's no small feat. I wonder if some other GM/coach with a better roster will see it that way. This isn't a diss at Ryan Dunleavy. This is this is engagement, right? He wants engagement. He wants conversation. It's a great conversation. So let's have it. The problem is that the offense was not watchable when Daniel Jones was at quarterback. That is part of the reason why the change had to be done. it wasn't just that they were afraid of injuries and an injury clause that might tie him to them in 2025. It was that the offense was bad. In fact, if the offense was serviceable or watchable, then they lost 5 games by 1 score or less. They would have won some of those games if the offense was watchable, if the offense was serviceable, because all of those games they lost because the offense was not good. So that part in itself is just not true, right? Then he says something else that I am so absolutely so tired of. I wonder if some other GM coach with a better roster will see it that way. So now we're back to the Daniel Jones needs weapons, that Daniel Jones needs help. How many times have I come on here and talked about offensive linemen that we said was bad with the Giants that have gone on the immediate, as soon as they leave the Giants, go somewhere else and perform well? It's literally a countless list of guys who have gone on from the Giants, and the moment they're no longer with the Giants, through 3 regimes, the moment they're no longer with the Giants, they're automatically starters and serviceable to good starters. Now, weapons wise, everyone's been waxing poetic about Tyrone Tracy all season. That's not a weapon. We know that Malik Neighbors is a stud. That's not a weapon. Wan'Dale Robinson has more receptions than he's ever had in his career this year. That's not a weapon. Darius Slayton, and I'll get back to him in a minute, is still the deep ball threat for this team. That's not a weapon. They don't even use Jalen Hyatt. Is that not a weapon? They have 2 tight ends that are both 6'5" and athletic and have an ability to catch that they don't really use a lot. Are those not weapons? Everywhere I look on this Giants team, I say, yo, they have enough that if someone just came in and played legit serviceable football, this team would be, if you change nothing else. I know everybody is convinced that, oh, well, this team needs more than just a quarterback. Cool. I'm with you. Every team needs more than just a quarterback if you want to win a Super Bowl. But if you just want to be good, a good quarterback will get it done. If you just want to be good, then a good quarterback will get it done. What are we talking about here? So now I look at that and I just go, why are we back to that again? Shout out to Ryan Dunleavy. It's not a knock. Again, I know that statements like this are made for engagement, and it got what he was looking for. Right? Marshall Green says, this had 12,000 views when I snapped it. It said, Marshall Green says, are the Giants, and this is at Marshall Green on X, by the way. Ryan Dunleavy, you should give him a follow at RYDUNLEAVY. That's Ryan Dunleavy on X. Marshall Green at Marshall Green, MARSHALLGREEN_ on X. He says, are the Giants losing games on purpose, or are they just the worst team in the NFL? How could this even be a question? How are you looking at these games and going, oh yeah, they're trying to win? Now, here's a caveat. The players are trying to win. Most of them, except the quarterback. Those players are out there trying to win. Those players are out there playing hard. But here is what happens when players know that you are not trying to win as an organization as a whole. It's hard to play as hard. It's almost impossible to play as hard as you possibly can play when you know that the goal from the people above you is to lose, whether they've said it or not. Right? Whether they've said it or not, it's difficult to be as locked in on your film study. It's difficult to be as locked in on a play in, play out basis when you know that the goal of the organization is to lose so that they can help you. Right? The theory behind tanking is that it's beneficial for the organization. So if you are a player on the organization, in the organization, especially if you're a player and you know you're going to be here, right? You know that you don't have to worry about employment next year. What is your motivation for winning? What is your motivation for like continuing to go hard? So yeah, you're playing hard, but are you playing the hardest? Are you as locked in? Are you as dedicated? Are you as motivated? The answer is no. And anyone that tells you that they are, guess what? They're lying. Gene, how you know they lying? I played football. I played sports my entire life. I've played sports from the time I was able to walk until I was no longer able to walk because of injury as an adult. I've also coached sports now for the better part of 20 years. Actually, for 20 years. This is year 20. I have coached football at varying levels, youth league, high school, college. And let me tell you, when the team knows that it's over, you don't get the same level of dedication. Now, does that mean that they give up? Give up? No. Does that mean that they completely lay down? Nope. But if you don't think there is a lesser focus, if you don't think that they are not as locked in as they used to be, you're just tripping. Like you're lying to yourself. That's it. And I try my best to not lie to me. I'm not going to act like I'm such a good coach that they'll do this to everybody else, but not to me. And that's just when you're having a losing season, not when it's apparent that you're not even trying to win. So, no, I don't think they're the worst team in the NFL. I think they're losing on purpose. Now, my guy Big Dash knows at Big Dash knows BIGDASHKNOWS says Evan Neal should beg to be moved to guard. Now, I'm going to take out my original claim from back when he was drafted, which is he has an opportunity to be an all-pro guard. I am on record as saying that from the beginning. Right? But I want to focus on that. I want to focus on the way that he's been treated playing tackle. I saw a clip that has been regurgitated. It is where Evan Neal and Van Roten have two guys to their right. Evan Neal has to go and get a DB, I believe, a defensive back that's blitzing off edge. Van Roten has to get the end because he's coming to the B gap, right? So if you're looking on film, they're here and then they're going to do this. And then Evan Neal and them are here and they're supposed to do that. They're supposed to go. This is Neal right here. And Neal goes and tries to cut the dude, a cut block. Ladies and gentlemen, a cut block is where you dive at someone's legs, right? In order to disrupt them from going. So he dives at the DB's legs. The DB jukes out the way, right? But it's a quick pass. So all he had to do was get the DB to stop his rush. That was the total goal. Meanwhile, Van Roten lets the defensive end, he touches him, the defensive end bowls him out the way, puts his hands up and knocks the ball out of the quarterback's hands. It gets deflected and intercepted and ran back for a touchdown, I believe. Right? How about every single post that I saw was about how bad Evan Neal was? All of the people. Like my guy El Jefe wrote about it, laughing and joking about why was Evan Neal catching strays on a play where the guy he was supposed to block, didn't make the play. He would have never made the play because it was a quick pass and no smoke got thrown the way of the guy who actually didn't make the play, Van Roten. This is what Evan Neal has had to deal with his entire life as a tackle for the Giants. Even plays that are not really his fault, he's taking blame for. Did y'all know that when a guy goes from the C gap and slants into the B gap, there's supposed to be somebody there to help with that interior movement? Why? Why, you may ask? Because it's hard for 6'7", 6'9", 330-pound offensive lineman to kick slide one way and then turn back and keep a speed rusher from getting inside and disrupting the play. That's why we have combination blocking. Now, on one-on-one blocking, right? 1v1 blocking, when the guy goes inside and I take him that way, the quarterback is supposed to replace where that defensive end has vacated. So if the defensive end is coming from this way, right? If he goes this way, then the quarterback is supposed to go that way. Guess what never seems to happen when somebody takes the inside move from Neal? The quarterback doesn't go anywhere. Steps right into the play. There's been so many times where Van Roten has not passed off a block, has not helped where the bat didn't chip someone. And yet all I ever hear is about Evan Neal. You would think that every single issue that they have is Evan Neal's fault. You didn't hear this much smoke for old boy on the left side when Andrew Thomas got hurt, who was giving up sack after sack after sack after sack. I say that to say, I agree that Evan Neal should move to guard because I think his highest ceiling is at guard. But stop thinking that offensive linemen are supposed to stonewall every single defensive end that they play. And by the way, most of the times when you see Evan Neal really bad, it's against one type of rusher, and it's usually 2 to 3 plays a game that he looks bad. 2 to 3 rushes out of 30, 40 potential dropbacks. If he gives up a sack, right, one of those times, if he gives up a pressure on all 3 of those times, on 30 plays, that means that 90% of the time he did not give up a pressure. And it also means that 94, 95% of the time, he didn't give up a sack. But all anyone ever sees is the sack, the 1 sack, the 2 sacks. What about all the other blocks? Oh, well, Andrew Thomas doesn't give up all of those. He's not Andrew Thomas. It's not his fault that the Giants drafted him with a top 10 pick. It's not his fault that the Giants moved him to right tackle instead of left. and even after all of the injuries, still refuse to put that man on the left side and see what he looks like. But now they're starting to play with him possibly being a guard. It's laughable. It's like you guys don't get it. You should want him to be good at something. You should not want him out the door. It's a wasted asset if he doesn't turn into something for this team. One of my favorites at New York Giants or NYG Crush at NYG Crush. He says Dallas eliminated from the playoffs with Cooper Rush at QB looking competitive. How can you make a case to keep Joe and Brian at this point? Well, it's very simple. Cooper Rush is a better quarterback than Tommy DeVito or Drew Lock. Cooper Rush is playing in an offense that he has been playing in for how many years now? Cooper Rush has been the backup for the entirety of the McCarthy era. You want to know who would have probably performed better as a backup quarterback for the New York Giants? Tyrod Taylor. But the Giants didn't want to pay Tyrod Taylor, right? So when she says, how can you justify keeping Dable and Shane? The only recourse I have is, well, they're doing this on purpose. This was a two-pronged effect. I'm going to give Shane and Dable a little bit of bail. Because, again, I told you I don't really want to address whether they should be back or not until after the season. So in a couple more weeks, we'll have a lot to say about it. Shane and Dable set this team up this season up for two things to happen. If they could capture the magic of 2022, rock out with DJ, possibly make the playoffs, bow out because they're not a great team, right? Similar as 2022. But this time with a year left on DJ's books, now they trade DJ away, get something for him, and then get ready for whatever the next thing is, right? Because at that point, the theory would be, well, they're not up there for a top pick, right? But we still don't want to, right? So now they get a chance to kind of play. But if things went south, if things didn't go well, then we're tanking. We're not going to try to win at all costs like we did in 2023. We're not going to do that and end up with a top 6, top 7 pick. Instead, we're going to end up with a top 1 or 2 pick because we're tanking. I'm going to give them credit for that, right? Because once it went bad, they let it keep getting bad, and then they bottomed it out. Let's get rid of Daniel. Let's not even let him play another game. And then from that, Daniel Jones went to the Karen victim mode, and now he wanted to be released. For what? For who? From embarrassment? He caused his own embarrassment. He was bad. They didn't sabotage him. They gave him everything that he needed in order to be successful, and he still wasn't successful. That's on him. So I'm going to give Shane and Dable that credit and that credit alone. Now, we'll talk about the moves because there's so many of them, but I'm going to wait. I want to wait, right? That's not something I want to talk about now. We'll do that another day. But I keep seeing all of these fallacies, these ideas that people want to throw out there, and every day we see another one. Adam Schefter said that the Eagles, if they're in their the final week and they're playing the Giants, that they should forego trying to get Saquon Barkley the record and bench everyone to let the Giants win so that the Giants go from the 1 or 2 all the way down to like the 6 or 7. You want to know how ridiculous that is? I'll tell you how ridiculous that is. You think that the New York Giants are going to put any effort into winning that last game? They will do everything that they possibly can to make sure that they end up with that first overall or second overall pick. They will not do what the Raiders did. Right? There are currently 5 other teams that have 3 wins, which means over these next 2 games, right? If the Giants go 0-2, they're in. If the Giants split, right, and they go 1-1, they're still going to end up somewhere close to the bottom just based off of scheduling and all that. The only way something like this becomes a thing is if they win the last 2 games. Who out here believes that the Giants are set up or going to have an ability to win 2 games? Raise your hand. Not happening, ladies and gentlemen. But this is what we get now. We get all of the harebrained, crazy talk of people who just want to act like they know. And for the way that Adam Schefter has carved out a niche for himself and become a millionaire just based off of being in other people's business, he doesn't know anything about football. He shows that every time he starts talking like an analyst and not just talking like someone who is supposed to break news. Every time he starts trying to give you his thoughts as an analyst, he sounds like an idiot. Sorry. Right? So I think about those things. Don't fall for these giant fallacies. Just enjoy what you can enjoy about the game. Get yourself prepared for the offseason. Rock with me as we dig into the minutia of the offseason. And let's watch as the Giants, either this regime or another regime, puts together the pieces so that this team can have a better 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all the time I have. New York Giants on SI. That's where you can get all your New York Giants news and information. Make sure you go there, hit that up. Also, make sure that you hit that subscribe button. I want to get to 2,000 subscribers for Christmas. That is my goal. I'm going to be on my socials trying to make it happen. I want to get to 2,000 subscribers for Christmas. Get anybody that has a YouTube to go there, hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate all the support. Myself, Paul Dottino with the Bit Blue Breakdown. Everything, you guys have been the best. Until next time, I'm Coach Gene Clemens, and I have a giant issue.